All right, so today, oh, you know what? Is this on? Yes, it is. Okay. I just had a feeling there. I was like, oh, did I turn my mic on? If you can't tell, we're live. So the next Leathercraft Masterclass course is a bag. It is a bag. Every so often we like to please the audience. Bag courses are always appreciated. And this is a larger size. This is going to be a leather holdall using some different materials, and I'll reveal a little bit more about it later on. I'm going to move this down in the clams here. I'm using English Saddler's clams. And this strip here is what we call welting strip. So this is a strip that goes round the gusset and it gets stitched in. And then the other side of the welting strip gets stitched into the edge of the bag. So that's the idea behind it. So there's a different way of bag making. There's some pros and cons. Installation is very easy, but it takes a little longer doing an extra seam. Arya, how you doing? Thank you for saying hello. It's a bit cooler in here at the moment. The weather's just gone cold again. My hands are quite dry. There's nothing worse than sweaty hands dealing with needles, but even more slippery than that is when the air is dry in here. I think the humidity is pretty low. Yeah, it's in the 40s. That would be why. So this seam here isn't actually going to get seen ever, and the whole thing will be covered over in a lining. So once it's installed in the bag, it doesn't get seen. So I have chosen a tonal thread here in brown to match the brown. The reason is if for whatever reason, once the welt is turned outwards, in the unlikely event that you can see any thread, if the particular stitch hasn't been pulled in tight enough, it is brown. So if you have a contrasting thread, you're more likely to actually see it. So, and I'm not even using a spacing provided by a pricking iron or anything here. It's literally just a line that I'm following. And every 4 to 5 millimeters, I just push my awl in consistently along that line just above it and make my stitch, and that's it. Allows me just to stitch it a little bit quicker in some ways. And also I'm using a quite a narrow pricking iron here. If we use a large size pricking iron, which would have 4 or 5 millimeter spacings between, it usually comes with really wide slits, wide prongs. And when you do that in a welting strip that gets turned outwards, you'll actually see these little cuts that will open up. So with this, I can just use a small, narrow awl to make a small hole in there, enough for the needles and thread to get through. And when it turns out, we don't see these big holes in it. So there's a couple of reasons I'm doing this. Hi guys, welcome in. If anybody has any questions, feel free. It's just me doing a little stitching in the afternoon, almost evening, in 10 minutes. If you just joined, I'm stitching a welting strip to our gussets for a large holdall style bag. This could be used as a gym bag, could be used as a weekend bag. It's going to have some differences to a course that we well, I say we, I produced, it's just me, a while back, the de Havilland travel bag. This is going to be using different kinds of materials, not just leather, traditional materials, and slightly easier construction and more vegetable tan leather involved, especially on the exterior. So it gives kind of a different feel. And some will prefer the aesthetic of this as well. It's going to be just a little bit more structured. So Aria has a question here. Let's pull the stitching. Would you sell the pelage tool you made? If yes, I'd rather buy it from you than try to make one. I have a size 1.5 millimeter. I need bigger, probably 3 to 4 millimeter. I mean, it's the only one that I've got, so that's why I wouldn't sell it, unfortunately. But they're not too difficult to make. I don't know if you've seen it, but I did a blog post on my website, leathercraftmasterclass.com, and then just click on the blog. I actually did a free tutorial on how to make your own. I'm pretty sure it was the blog, not a video. But yeah, I put out content on there to show you how to do it. As long as you've got a little bit of spare time, don't have to do it all at once. You can do it in stages, but it's not too much of a challenge to make it yourself, to be fair. And then you can make it exactly how you want it and how you like it. Because it's not just about the size of the tool width-wise. It's also how concave it is, as you'll find out. So you can kind of custom make it to exactly how you like it. Also depends on the pins and the rivets that you're using. But made by you is worth owning, because I admire your work. Thank you very much. Yes. You know, time is a difficult one for me. I would make another one and sell that one to you, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time to make another one, but I will be needing it. But thank you, though. 3 to 4 millimeter. So that's a big rivet. What are you making? Or is it just something you want to add to your set kind of thing? Is it in let's see if it's in. Yeah, probably talk about this one. That is size is that? 3.75 mil rim to rim. Who makes that? It's made in Germany. Rennsteig number 2. So that is RENNSTEIG NR dot number. I guess that means 2. That was some hard ass metal on that as well. I did have to bench grind the edge. So I just kind of like offered it up to the bench grinder, so it looks like a pencil. To thin it down, because the end is actually rather fat. Oh, wait, 1,000 years. Making a bag, the closure is the English style briefcase lock from Abbey, England. Oh, nice. Yeah, that will require a slightly larger, maybe even slightly larger than that, I'll be honest with you. I think the heads that were, if you're using the pins that come with it, might be a bit bigger than that actually. Might be coming on to 4 or 5 mil, in which case you'll add a rim to that if you use something of that size. Yeah, I mean, the ones that come with Abbey England, from what I'm aware of, it's the bifurcated rivets or the split rivets, which I don't use. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. I just prefer the security of a peened over rivet. I think I might be needing some more thread actually. Did I put it away? I think I put it away. No, it's right there. I'll leave that where I can see it. Yeah, Tobias says split rivets from Abbey are not to my liking either. Yeah. I mean, it's a traditional way, but it's a quick way of doing it, I guess, if you're in production. I think normally it's designed, the split rivet is designed to be kind of like hammered down flat, trimmed to your liking, hammered down flat, and then you put like a disc covering of leather on the inside to cover it, and then you can stitch around the lock and that kind of thing. It's going to hold perfectly secure. It will do, but I just prefer the security of peening rivets. I would say the benefit of the bifurcated rivets is you could potentially have an easier time repairing it if something happened to the lock. But probably speed of production is the main reason it's used. Okay, so I am guesstimating the distance between each stitch that I'm doing here. But what I'm going to do when I come into a turn is I actually tighten the stitch spacing a little bit more because there's more stress on the leather wanting it to open out on a turn, on a corner. So instead of 4 to 5 millimeters, we're looking at more 3 to 4 millimeters. Which brings a little bit more tightness into that corner. It is quite a tight stitch. Don't want to overdo it, but take a look at the other side there. That looks good. But it's not one that you want to kind of delicately do. Veg tan, very stiff. It can take it. Hence the 3 millimeter. Yeah, I guess the head of the pin is probably more like 5, but the shaft itself is 3 millimeters, isn't it? Yeah, something like that. I can't exactly remember. Tobias says, I kind of feel like the Abbey Liston locks are not as smooth as the MMC Colombo ones are either. No, I mean, unfortunately, they're one of the few last English makers of this style of lock. Years ago we had brands like Bramah, Bramah, and they were very good, and some similar brands of names that escape me now. But the UK used to produce some incredibly beautiful and ornate locks, especially for jewelry cases and high-end expensive luggage. And it's kind of been whittled down, and now it's just, Bramah will make some things for jewelry boxes, but a lot of the stuff that they made years ago is gone. Chini is out of business, so they got absorbed by Abbey, which still use their name, which is kind of a lower end UK made lock. It's kind of like stamped metal and pressed metal and that kind of thing. There's the top end of the UK makers is gone, unfortunately, like many of the tool makers. I guess the demand isn't there. I'm stuttering a lot today. I need to eat something. But yeah, MMC, they're very good. Very good. Maya Metal is another one from China. They're very good. But I think the main difference is with Abbey England and MMC and Maya Metal is MMC and Maya Metal are very much using machines to build everything with a high degree of precision, and then just mostly hand assembly, which isn't too difficult to do. Whereas Abbey England are very much a hands-on, kind of a handmade product. Yes, certain things are stamped out, but the finishing and assembly and putting everything together and making sure it works is still done by someone by hand. So I guess it depends on what you like. Some people like that kind of rustic brass traditional feel to it. Other people like the precision. And I think it also depends on the style of leather goods that you put it on. If it's an English style briefcase, I don't mind a little bit of a rough around the edges. I mean, I give it a good polish up myself, but yeah, I think it works in that context. But if I was to make a beautiful, small, fine leather exotic handbag with a lot of work into it, I want something that's precise. I want something that's almost jewelry-like to kind of work with it. So it depends on what you're making, really. At least that's how I see it. This bag will actually have a lock of sorts, but it will be a padlock, a small padlock, and part of the course will be showing you how to wrap it seamlessly, which I haven't seen before, but the course will have it in it. But it won't have a conventional lock. Aria says, yeah, true. MMC Colombo ones are definitely better, yeah. Sheer says, how can I buy your products? Although it looks like it, I'm not actually making products to sell. What I'm doing is creating online video courses teaching people how to make their own leather goods so they can then sell if they want to. So I don't have products to sell directly, unfortunately, but thank you for asking. If you're looking for any work to be done or completed, I have quite a few students that I pass work on to when I get requests. So if you want to shoot me a DM, depending on what you're working, I can find one of the students who specializes in that. Tobias says, just a shame about the wait time on MMC. Well, I know shipping is quite slow. I can't say, it has been a few years since I've bought from them. To be fair, I didn't know about wait times. I remember they had a kind of they had another website or there was another website that sold MMC Colombo work. What was it called? Abbas, ABBAS, fashion accessories. I think they went under during COVID and just kind of got absorbed by MMC, and now MMC sell to non-commercial because it was designed for buy individual pieces. It was actually better, I think, overall than buying from MMC, which hasn't been the most straightforward thing in the world. I mean, they're okay to deal with. I have had contact from them before regarding using their stuff in my courses. They want me to use their stuff. They're like, oh yeah, anything you need, just let us know. We can send it to you for free, because obviously I'm guiding people to buy it from them in the courses. So I said, oh yeah, okay, we'll get this, this, and this, and this. And then they were like, oh no, you can't have that. Why didn't you stipulate? So I buy my own stuff from them. If ever I need to, but it has been a while. I think the last time I bought from them was it the English briefcase? No, it wasn't. No, that was Abbey. The last time I bought from them was the Bloomsbury attaché case. Yes, the attaché case. I should have bought from Abbey on that one, actually. I'm not, and I went for gold plated. Although it's not the best choice, to be honest. Gold plated hardware, but it looked good in the course. But yeah, it wears off and then tarnishes as it will. Three to 4 weeks until it's shipped. Good Lord, 3 to 4 weeks until it's shipped. Is that normal, or is that just a kind of a recent thing with MMC? And unless I was buying in bulk or something, I really wouldn't want to wait that long. That is asking a bit much. Steve says, hello from Ottawa, Canada. Kathy and accidentally Steve. They also bring in MMC Colombo locks. Who does? Abby? How wide do you like to keep your gusset welts? It depends on what I'm making and the design of what I'm going for. This is going to be about 15 millimeters, I think. 15 to 20 millimeters. Realistically, just enough to give you enough space to sew it in onto the outside. But I don't want to go too big on this, because actually this welting will be bound in place. So I'll be employing an edge binding of sorts. Which you'll see a little bit later on in the build, not today. Yeah, but it's a large gusset welt. If you featured it in the design, that's fair enough. But realistically, the bigger the welt, the further the gusset is set back, the more kind of internal space that you're eating up. So I think there's a happy medium, but I don't think you can go wrong as long as you have enough space to be actually stitching in place. Right, so we're past that corner now. So instead of 3 to 4 millimeter stitch spacing, I'm going 4 to 5 millimeter stitch spacing by eye. So I can save a little bit of time. And it's just not necessary to have a tight, high frequency stitch. Not physically tight, but close stitches. How long have we been? 25 minutes in. So I'm using a tighter stitch here so that we don't see the holes made by the awl or the stitching itself or any of the adhesive that's holding it on in the first place. Once it's kind of folded out. But it is a little bit tiresome on the hands. Because each one, I can't just pull it in under tension out here. I've got to kind of get nice and close and really give it a pull in. Keep that firm tension going. Get my leg a bit more comfortable. So coming up to that halfway now. That's a bit better. Did legs in the gym yesterday. And holding these clams between them, I started to get cramp in my inner thighs. My adductors. Try and relax them a bit more. I get thigh cramp on a live. All right, halfway point. I'm not doing too badly. There's about, I think, about 90 centimeters worth of stitching here, so almost a meter long going around the circumference. So it's not a small amount of stitching. Yeah, pull it from out there, it's not too bad. Now it's getting a bit shorter. I've gone for an arm span and a half worth of thread. And at the halfway point, I can now still stretch it from out there. So I think we've got more thread than we need for 90 centimeters. We'll see. You can see if we did the old rule of thumb, 4 times the length of the seam, which is such a rubbish rule of thumb because it really depends on so many factors. It wouldn't work out, would we? So 90 centimeters. Yeah. Can't math and stitch at the same time. So coming up to the second corner here, or third corner today actually. Going to begin tightening up that stitch a little bit more, giving it a bit more frequency. Where are you? There you are. All right, let's move this in the clams now. That should do. Oh. If you guys have any questions, feel free at any point. You can ask away. Or if you got any projects that you're working on right now, feel free to tell me what projects are on your table at the moment. Mine is a large bag, obviously. Do I have any drink left? Or have I drank it all? No, I drank it all. Rule of thumb when doing a live, always have something to drink on hand. Oh, move you guys over a little bit more. As far down as I can move it. Chopping the top of my head off. There we go. Move this around a bit more. Actually, I'm going to let these threads down to untangle a little bit. I think they're starting to build up a twist. Guys, can I just ask, is the internet connection okay? As in, like, is it going pixelated and kind of rubbish? I just want to double check because about 15 minutes earlier, it was playing up. It seemed to level out. Sometimes the internet connection here could be a bit patchy. So I'll show you another gusset here. This is the gusset itself, vegetable tan leather. And this is the welt on the outside. I'm not going to open it out right now because it's literally just glued in place, and you can see the connection at the top here, which it gets stitched over. But that is basically it. And then when we attach it inside the bag, it gets opened out. So it still needs molding around the edges to get that nice 3D shape that we're looking for. So that's what we're working with. Yeah, man. Let's rotate it a little bit. Back onto the straight, where we can open things out a little bit more. Slightly larger stitch spacing. Now, if you're wondering why it looks a little bit patchy on that welt, as you can see, sometimes vegetable tan leather, especially bridal leather, if it's hand stuffed and hand dyed, they dye the front and the back of bridal leather because most often it's used full thickness. But if you split it down, as I've done here, what can tend to happen is you have a center of undyed leather. So when you split it down, you get these patches of where it's kind of, especially if you split it along that point where the dye is starting to fade out, which is okay. I mean, as long as what you're making is with leather that isn't just right on the surface dyed, but it penetrates deep enough that light to moderate scratches, it's still the same color underneath. What you want to avoid is a light scratch where it shows up a light color of undyed leather underneath. That's not an ideal situation. Guys, there hasn't been any comments for quite some time now, and there was quite a good amount of chat going on. Can anybody, even if it's just a thumbs up emoji, just to let me know that I'm actually still live? Or do we have, is it just a number of lurkers? So almost there. I'll keep the live going until I've pretty much finished the seam, I think. I might actually change this thread over before I'm finished, because it's starting to not break apart, but the twist is starting to unravel in parts and it's not stitching very smoothly. Well, I think, unfortunately, no one's answering, so I think something has gone wrong with the chat. So if you're asking me questions or saying anything, and that is the case, I apologize that I'm not reading any comments. Nothing's coming through. It just suddenly stopped for no reason. But if you do have any questions, of course, you can message me on Instagram at Leathercraft Masterclass if you do have any questions. And if you are interested in saddle stitching, there's a free tutorial that's still available on the website, so leathercraftmasterclass.com. There's a pop-up where you can put your address in, your email address, and I'll send you the tutorial on hand saddle stitching for free. And I was mentioning earlier to someone about the blog. A surprising amount of people that don't know about the blog, but I've been writing one for years, and there's all sorts of how-to tutorials, information, reviews, interviews, discussions on different topics of interest in leathercraft. And I put a ton of work into it. So if you guys are interested in checking out the blog, it's very useful to have. And if you are a frequent reader of the blog and there's any subjects that you'd like me to tackle in it, feel free. In my opinion, for fine leathercraft, it's I'll blow my own trumpet, but it's the best resource on the net. Interestingly, the #1 most popular blog that has been for years, no matter what I write, no blog ever gets more views than the one I wrote on stingray skin. I don't know why. It gets a lot of traffic from Google, from people reviewing it. It seems to be like the top recommendation or something. So yeah, it's interesting. It's the most popular. I'm going to back stitch this a couple and put a new thread on there. This one's starting to look a little tired. And for this, I'm using polyester thread. Because it's got to be pretty maintenance free and strong for its size. I don't want too thick of a piece of thread. Where are we? Again, for anybody joining who's messaging me or asking a question and I'm not answering them, the comments have just stopped for some reason, but I can still see people are coming in and out. So apologies, I'm not able to answer you. Yeah, there's more and more people joining, but I can't see comments anymore. So it's just a fly on the wall live chat. Should be long enough. So just refreshing that thread there, which is starting to look a little tired. Being pulled through a lot of leather. A lot of firm veg tan leather, so it starts to degrade it a little bit. And it's just straight cabled polyester thread. It is pre-waxed, but there's not a lot in it. If I waxed it, it'd probably last a little bit longer. All right, so where were we? There we were. That's where we were. A little tip when using polyester thread, you probably want to do this before you actually insert the thread. But if you hold on to the ends, just wrap it around a finger a time or two, and just pull, you actually gain about 5 to 10% of length permanently So, you know, if you got a meter of it and you pull it out, you might get 105 centimeters, 110 centimeters, and it kind of stays there. There's a bit of give in polyester thread. So if you are going to be doing some tight stitching that you don't want to kind of undo, give it a good yank and you'll suddenly feel it give and stretch so that you lose some of that springiness in it, which is one of the reasons people like linen thread, especially because it gives you a very nice tight stitch which doesn't have any spring back to it. Kind of like that squeaking noise of good quality vegetable tan leather when it's rubbing against something. Let's move this up a little bit. Oops. Into the last corner, and then I'll be coming back on myself at the top. So coming into the corner now, tightening up that stitch spacing a little bit. It does take a little bit longer to get around the corner for that reason. So how long have we been going for now? 48 minutes. See if we can get this stitched within the hour. I think we'll do that with a little time to spare. Nice and tight, kind of pulls that welting in quite nicely. Interestingly enough, there's a little public service announcement for people interested in trying different glues. I bought a load of Gorilla Glue contact adhesive. I mean, it's a pretty well-known brand, USA brand of glues. I've used their stuff before. From they're kind of like polyester glues or whatever they are, and super glues. They seem pretty good. So I saw an offer on these 75-gram tubes. I mean, normally they come in like, well, this is a different brand, but this is what, 25 or 30 grams. So it's like a big tube, only on sale for £2 a tube. So I bought 5 of them. I mean, that's a lot of glue. And I've kind of moved over to using mostly contact adhesives in the tube, because you're not opening it and closing a lid on something and it dries out and there's loads more fumes. And you can use the spout as quite a precise applicator, which is quite nice. So on a lot of in a lot of circumstances, it's a benefit. Anyway, I bought these Gorilla Glue tubes. And it says, put it on both parts. Should be touch dry in about 2 minutes for maximum strength. 2 minutes. Leave it 2 minutes and then bond them together. So I did a little Actually, no, I didn't test. I put it around the gusset on this piece here, and then I put it on the welt, waited the 2 minutes, and then went to stick it together. And lo and behold, it was so bad. It was literally the worst glue I've ever had the misfortune of trying. It was really terrible. So I tried different timings. I thought maybe it took me too long to go around both edges before they actually made contact. So I did it on a small patch, waited exactly 2 minutes, did it again, didn't work. Tried one where I waited 5 minutes, tried one where I waited a full 10 to 15 minutes. It was bad all around. Nothing you could do would make this glue work. It was terrible. So yeah, I had to use a rubber block, that's one here, to rub off the glue all the way around. It left like a weird finish on it, which I had to get off with a solvent and then re-roughen and then clean and then put on my regular impact solvent adhesive, which worked perfectly. It was really strange. I can't understand why it was so terrible. What was wrong with it? Maybe it was a bad batch. I don't know. But whatever the case, the interesting thing I found about it was there was very little odor. It was quite low odor compared to most solvent adhesives, which is good. But I still have, my door open. There's a draft coming through. There's a bit of wind airflow. But after about 5 or 10 minutes using it, I felt like my lungs had a bit of an ache to it. Like, it was difficult to explain, but when I breathed in, they felt like they were mildly bruised. At that point, even if I've never experienced that before, even if it was a decent adhesive, I wouldn't use that. Obviously, there is some kind of solvent in there, which is difficult to smell, but is still providing some kind of irritant to the lungs. And even though that impact adhesive is stinky stuff, I've never had that from it. I always want to use it in a well-ventilated situation, but damn. That was real bad. Yeah, so. Gorilla Glue, constant instant contact adhesive, and it was the clear formula. I don't know if they do another formula, but it was clear, whatever the case. And it was very gel-like. Very different to what I'm used to. Interesting thing, it said it was repositionable for 1 minute, which means if you put two parts together and it wasn't quite right, you could unpeel it and put it somewhere else to reposition. And I found that any time a contact adhesive says repositionable, it is not suitable for Leathercraft, in my opinion. Because the ones that are not repositionable, that stick very aggressively, instantly, once both parts become touch dry, those are the kind of ones you want, because very difficult to stick on vegetable tan leather, on tight curves where you've got to bend both parts in and then stick them. It takes a very aggressive contact adhesive to be able to do that with stiff, firm vegetable tan leather. So if it says repositionable for any period of time, you want something a bit more aggressive. It may work in some projects, linings and things like that, but outside of that, the idea is it adds repositionable adhesives, gives you a bit of forgiveness if you make a mistake. You can peel it off without the glue coming off the parts that you're gluing together, and it stays on there. But yeah. Luckily, I took it back to the shop and got a refund for all 5 tubes, which was good. So coming towards the end of this live now, 55 minutes in, I said we'll easily be able to finish in time. Kind of just. Yeah, apologies, guys. The comments have stopped working here. I can see there's plenty of people coming in and out, and conversation was flowing quite well, and all of a sudden it stopped. So if I've missed your comment or I haven't seen it, it is not my fault. It is the YouTube's. So coming up to the end here. There's already a hole there. That's good. I'm going to finish off this stitch at the end. Double over. Back stitch. Double cast. Make sure that knot sits right inside. And we're going to trim. And we're going to melt. All right, let's remove this. So now this welt is stitched in, and the end is stitched in. You can see all the way around, and that's just done by hand. As in, there's no pricking iron that's gone through there to get a consistent stitch. Basically, you just freehanding it. I do draw a line with a compass, like a wing divider compass, where you can put a pen in it all the way around. So I've got a consistent depth away from the edge, which is something that you need. But you don't necessarily need to use a pricking iron because it's going to be covered up. It's not going to be seen. There's going to be a lining going around this onto the welt. So that's where we're at the moment. But guys, thank you very much for joining me on this live. Apologies about the comments. I can't read them. I don't know why. But I will be doing a lot more lives now. I'm creating a bag probably on YouTube mostly, to be honest. Occasionally I might also do one on Instagram if I'm going on a bit long, and I'll finish it off on Instagram, that kind of thing, but mostly on YouTube. But going through the bag build stages of building the gusset, building the main bag, putting in the straps, shoulder attachment, zips, handles, things like that. There's going to be a lot more lives coming up. And if you're into fine leathercraft, bag making, and leather accessories in general, if you're interested in that, then make sure your notifications are on so you can kind of watch these live. And that way, if you have any questions or you want to ask me something specific, I can be there to kind of guide you through and show you if necessary. But don't forget to grab your free hand stitching tutorial on leathercraftmasterclass.com. Check out the pop-up when you arrive on the website and get your free video on saddle stitching. But in the meantime, thank you for watching me, guys. And for those of you who interacted in the beginning before the comments stopped, thanks for the chat. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.